dialogue artist. And what that means, sacred meaning private, as in your private inner dialogue, meaning the way you speak about yourself to yourself in your mind. So basically, in a nutshell, I help people develop their decisions so that they can trust themselves whenever they have a pressure decision to make. And it is a system, in what I call creative healing techniques. It is a system that I have created as a survivor of sexual violence and as an advocate of victim validation, where I train people to deal with others who they love. So it could be an intimate partner, it could be a child, it could be a parent, it could be a friend. As part of my NGO process, we do a lot of trauma therapy and victim validation. But in my personal life, being an advocate on ground, I had to create this thing that I now teach to help myself under the pressure. And in that space, I created a module called Sacred Dialogue, where I teach people to sort of access 5 members of self, 5 parts of self, 5 voices inside that you need to validate. So you have the protector, the one that feels your rage and wants revenge. You have the part that is innocent, can't we all get along, wanting everything to just work out. You have the part of you that's constantly learning lessons and feeling like, haven't I gone through this before? You have the part of you that is sort of just creative and entrepreneurial and always filling a void. Someone always comes to you for the answer, and unfortunately you usually never say no, so you're always burnt out. And then you have the part of you that trusts your gut all the time, and it's the part of you that says, something told me that, like I had a knowing inside of me. So you need to get all of those parts of self to agree. Yeah.
Does one experience all 5 parts of self, or would you say some are more dominant than others?
Yeah. No, sorry. It's a foundational tool that I use to help you access how you're feeling. So I may have said these things, and you may feel like, oh, I have felt all of these things before. You maybe have felt many more. You may have felt less. It's just a foundational tool to start from somewhere, so we can find out how you're really feeling. So now that I gave that overview to some of the work that I've done in trauma therapy and in trauma therapy, I've also done work with substance abuse. I've worked overseas in New York. I went to school in New York to study counseling psychology and other modalities, healing modalities that I use as well. Somebody can engage me. But I just wanted to put that out there as to why me? Why are you asking me this question? And where am I coming from with that answer? So people can appreciate, what they're taking in. So now, using all of these skills, encourage people to how would I say? Okay, so how do you face capacity? For you to face the capacity, which means your ability to take in, right? And then your ability to basically physically and mentally take on a pressure, like a shock is happening, absorb it. You need to be able to take all the things that are happening. We had life and trauma happening way before, and then COVID comes and it's opening. Are you there? It looks like you're stuck.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm there.
And then now COVID. Yeah, now COVID comes and adds more pressure. So, what is your truth capacity, capability? New pressure. What are your shock absorbers? How do you deal with pressures? How do you cope? These are the questions I would be asking throughout. How do you do that? But that's going to be different for everyone. Obviously, we'll deal with pressure differently, and ultimately, you need to get you to a place where you are able to listen to yourself. What does that look like? What does that mean? That means something different for everybody. What you have to do to get there, to clear your mind, to honestly say, okay, well, this is what I'm going through. Even now, if I ask you what you're going through and you were to give me an answer, maybe more into the conversation, you end up going, oh my gosh, I'm going through so much more than I even thought I was going through, because you hadn't taken the time to stop and take that inventory on what is your capacity and you're capable is how much you actually take in and digest at a time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you, because one of the things that did not impact me as much as you would have expected is that with the rapid change, I was already in the process of looking for other ways to deal with certain situations I was dealing with right now. And it just so happened that when all of this closed, it just slowed down everything. So I was in a different region than most. I was kind of in a rebuilding phase already. So the overall impact, that I guess most people wouldn't have that same experience.
Right, and then that comes from your life experience in general, and your life experience also comes from your interpretation of it. For example, if you have siblings, the way you may have grown up in the same physical space, but your actual mental and emotional capacity to take on the pressure that you may have seen your parents go through, or whoever raised you go through, your ability to take in that information and process it and effectively do something about it that is healthy by your measure and progressive by your measure and by your interpretation is different. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so also, I mean, I think maybe, to whatever extent you're comfortable, we should just talk about you, which is what we had agreed. So that
okay,
but like we're having a raw conversation, and you can ask me questions as well. It doesn't have to be about you. You can ask me, about me. So people can ask.
Yeah, well, some of the things that bothered me personally. Sometimes I take too long to take the right action, if you understand what I'm saying. Because case in point, during the lockdown, I was literally beaten at the house because I am part owner of a small restaurant. And then I was like, as much as we want to open, we probably have the ability to open, but we just can't open in the way that we want. We cannot generate as much income as we used to. And then I was kind of stuck on how can we work with what we have in terms of the restaurant. How can we sell, let's say, even if it's 10 meals a day. And instead, on the flip side, a couple of days ago, I have other skills which I said, okay, you know what? I can repair computers. Everybody in a space looking for a computer, trying to get something sorted out for the kids. And I just put up a flyer online saying, okay, half off on computer repair for the first period. And then would you believe over the last couple of days I've been literally busy. That's why we have not even been able to communicate as much as I like prior to the show. But again, what that says that this is something I had in the back of my mind to do literally months ago, even before COVID, and then I just took no action. And almost immediately after I took action, and then things changed. So again, going back to the question, what are some of the reasons why people do not take a massive correct action?
Right. So that's because for you to take action, there would have had to be a point of incident. Something would have had to happen. Some trauma or change, some new thing would have had to enter the space, right? So you even stating as an overview that you were more prepared than most, that you were observing that you were more prepared than most. I would guess that you obviously tell me, I would guess you have gone through many job changes and life changes and face the economy at different levels and angles in your life.
Yes. It began, I've had to move from of course job to job. The biggest change that impacted that was, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm not actually asking about that. I'm making a point because you asked me a question. So I just want to make a point that you have had that experience, and every time you have had that experience, you have found it in your capacity to do something about it. You see, so you have to realize because the point I'm making is we each have to check ourselves. Like so writing about definitely checking that inventory. You need to see yourself. You have to see yourself as someone who manages shifts in the economy well, or who is able to move beyond the shock and the terror and the denial and the grief of another change, another change. You understand, you had a life experience, you've experienced yourself in life experience, your responses enough to do that. But at the foundation of it, to answer your question about the tools, the first thing is to check that inventory, is to see what has been my experience. When I have faced pressures in the past, how do I usually deal with that? Am I dealing with that in a way that is actually working for me? How would I like to do that? So it's a lot of introspection so that you can get the actual inventory and see and make goals, make lists, and find support for those things, and support will look different for everyone. But it's because you have been able, you put yourself as an example. You're saying that you were still delayed. You were delayed because no system responses. It takes your breath away every time you have to. Oh my gosh! Again, another change, another load put on. These are natural responses. You have to know what your natural responses are. The only way you're going to know that is by your own observation of your body, your own observation of yourself, and your actual responses. You might think that a lot of people watch like inspirational videos, and yes, living your truth, seeing that, seeing, logging, how taking note of what that means, living your truth. A lot of people see these inspirational videos, and you walk off of a YouTube, interview, and you feel, yes, I can do this. Yes, I saw this person do this. I'm vicariously living through this thing. But then, when it comes to actually do it, every one of us has different blockers, and a lot of times with dealing with capacity and capability, we're comparing ourselves to people that only you know. Like someone saying, know yourself. Only you know. And for you to know yourself, it isn't easy. It isn't as easy as saying, living your truth and knowing yourself. Yes, these things are very true. But how do we know ourselves? For you to know yourself, you have to spend the time with yourself, with your mind, clearing your mind, doing exercises, journaling, exploring, anything that will allow you to feel that aside of it, to say, okay, tell me the truth. How good is it? What is my capacity? If you said you were in the restaurant, you were in the restaurant. You have to know, can I do this with just me and one family member? Can I do this? Do I need more? Being honest with yourself, yes. Being honest with yourself. Before you can know yourself, before you can live your truth, all these things are parts of it. You must clear your mind and be open. If you come to me for an actual thing and I say, it's for cancer, but let's just say it's true, then we're not going to be really building properly. You're not going to have the right information, and that information is part of the capacity building. You don't have the right information, and maybe you're saturated. There's so much going on. Everyone's listening to the news. There's so much pressure. So capacity and capabilities, how much are you able to intake, and then how can you break down the steps into actually effectively getting something done?
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go into a slightly different issue. Because we spoke about trusting yourself and being honest with yourself mostly. And one of the things that I had to deal with was being in denial a little bit. I think I was out. My relationship with people on just not any particular individual, but generally the crowd that I hang out with. And then I found myself trying to fit in to a culture that I wasn't used to at the time. Then it grew on me. Then later on, my relationship with certain people, because of my ambitions, things I wanted to do, and then I always figured, let's do it together. Because I've always been that kind of all-inclusive inclusive person. As long as let's do it together, let's grow together. That has always been but not everybody shared that same vision, and then that caused problems in terms of my friendship with people, which caused them to react in certain way, which left me with trust issue. Right? I don't get too close to anybody new. It takes a little while for me to read. And if I walk into a room with someone, and then I almost immediately I know if me and this person can be friends. So
Okay.
how do I do it?
Yeah, well, okay, thank you for stopping there, because this is it right here. Okay, so here's my capacity and capability. In this short call, right, you're giving me so much information. It's good information, it's true, it's validating and people listening. We have all been in denial. We have all been in, and when I say we've all been, it's a thing that constantly happens. Yeah. So we've all been in denial, we've all hung out with certain company, we've all wanted to fit in or face ourselves in these issues. We've all had the opportunity to see who we really are under those. You gave me so many. So my capacity and capability to answer them properly and how many deserve, it's happening now, so it's in real time. I need to slow it down for me so that I can deconstruct it and take it apart so we can really give it the attention that it deserves. If not, we're not going to be effective. I'm just going to come on here, sound really smart, say other words, and then everyone would have seen a YouTube talk or had a good conversation like it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
okay, so
yeah.
Let's deal with the most important one for me.
Okay.
Trust issue.
Okay.
Why would you be able to trust people outside of the very, very small circle?
Why is it difficult to trust people outside of a very small circle? That's the question. What does trust mean to you?
Trust means being able to depend on someone that you can come to, that can comfort you in such a way that won't ridicule you and that will be honest with you too.
Okay.
That's I think the key thing. Someone that's honest.
And that's huge. How many times within a small circle have you found kindness and firmness? That kind honesty, that comes with grace. Not to sugarcoat, but the honesty. I mean, I'm not asking you directly. I'm just saying how many times, right? How do you define that? So you are realizing your criteria with these details. This is where your capacity will start to come from. I'm not going to answer them. I'm not going to answer that question in a half hour live on Instagram. I'm going to be showing us where we're looking for them. You understand? So first we need to see what is your understanding of trust. What do you need out of trust? We cannot pretend that we can generalize those things. What you need out of trust in a relationship and what I need out of trust. Yes, we might use the same words, but when it comes down to it, that feeling, that resonance, that essence that makes you feel like you can trust someone, you also need, most of us need, to have some sort of experience. How do you know you can trust someone? Unless you're very intuitive and I live in a space where we are all intuitive, but if you're practicing that, then you're not leading with your gut brain and your gut heart, then you will need to have actual evidence. Because that, again, that you're looking in. What is your measure of trusting someone? So you give it to me. I'm just backtracking. So by what you explained, you need somebody who listens to you, who can be fair and kind and tell you the hard truth. That's right?
Yeah.
So then that makes sense. Then it's very logical. Why you can't trust somebody outside of a small circle. Because for you to be able to do that, for you to be able to hit all of those measures, you would have had to have some life experience with this person, or you would have needed to trust your intuition enough, or a balance of whatever your measures are. But if you don't know your measures, if you don't take that time with yourself to realize, oh, maybe I need to change my criteria. Maybe I'm looking for love in all of the wrong places. Trust, I'm using that thing. Looking for trust in all of the wrong places. And giving trust in all of the wrong places. Like currency exchange. Keeping it on top with these economy changes outside of small spaces, whether it be intimate partner, whether it be friends, business settings. Are you investing your resource, your human resource, your ideas, your money, your time, your what you call exposure and learning and apprenticeship? Are you staying in those places too long because you don't trust your own self, that you have enough, that you are enough, that you have enough capacity, that you're bringing enough to the table?
Yeah, sometimes I do question that, I really do. And at the end of the day, sometimes, again, the whole, because that's why, for example, that same project, that's why it was delayed. I was like, can I really do it? It's not whether I have the actual, I have the knowledge, you understand? But what was trying to find out what was really holding me back. And when you said,
I'm cutting you off. So, here how we contradict ourselves, and this is where secret dialogue comes in. Okay, so you know me, so you trust me. I'm gonna go. So you're lying to yourself, right? You're lying to yourself. I'm gonna call it out. In the beginning, you said that you don't know if you can trust these people. But what it is that your heart has already been broken. You cannot trust these people, and it hurts you that you can't trust them, and you're lying to yourself. Because you just said you realized you couldn't trust them with this certain thing. You said that's the same thing that happened to me with the delay. Nobody gave you the answer. That's the answer. That's inventory. The reason you were not able to start the business earlier is because you felt like, and you trust your feelings, you felt like you couldn't trust them. And then you're afraid to assert that power and that leadership. You're afraid to be successful by yourself. It's never really going to be by yourself, but you're initially afraid to be successful by yourself, because you're saying, it's not that I didn't think I could do it, but what you want to bring people with you. You want to help people. That can be dangerous. That can be dangerous if people are not receptive. There's a quote, I don't know who it's by, but it's one I use often. It goes, intention without reception is interruption and a violation. If someone is not open, right? Intervention without reception is a violation. That's what it is. So if right now I just come at you, giving you answers, insights into something that you are not receptive to, something that you are not asking me about, you're not gonna okay, I let you into my life to talk to me about this, but I didn't ask you all of that. Like, you don't have, when you get off telling me all of this other information, trying to look smart, that would be disrespectful to your platform. Do you understand? So you want to help people who are not receptive to maybe help, period, because they may have their own ideas and their dreams and they want to do it by themselves. Maybe they don't agree with you and they don't know how. Now, of course, I'm speculating for these ladies. The point is not right? I see that because maybe you've sacrificed for them. Maybe you've invested. I'm sure you have. But I believe that no investment in general goes, it's never lost. But there is some wisdom in realizing when something's just falling. So if your body is telling you now that you just don't, that it is like you don't trust them, and you want to go deeper into that, I'm sure we could find out how we're going to do it right now. But we would find concrete, very real reasons that would make you go, oh yeah, like, why did I even spend so long in that dynamic? I never really trusted them. I want to trust them. I wished I could trust them. But they've shown me that I'm not able to trust them. It doesn't make them the worst people in the world. You just can't trust them for this passionate project that you're trying to do.
Exactly. I don't look at it as like, like that. Actually, I thought that I was trying to look past just that where there's something, because for a reason why I always wanting to do stuff with other people, and always, and I think that early on I didn't have that kind of intimate relationship with my parents, and then I think on some level I was just trying to make those connections, whether it be with my bedrooms on the block, or whether it be with the ladies that I took interest in. And I think I was sitting for more than what they would actually give.
Yeah, because you have not. It's a thing for our history, Caribbean history, African anything history, indigenous history, human history, human development. It's a thing where you have parents, and each of us coming from where we're coming from in our interpretation of our history, in our interpretation of where we're coming from. We have, again, generalizing, we have not hold people emotionally accountable. So you feel like you were, and any words I say, this is going fast, it's alive, correct me where you can, everyone take this very general, because it really is purpose, right? But so I'm going to speak as loosely as I can about it. Hey, Emma. So I'm saying that I said, I'm not lost it. I'll get it. Give me 1 second. Hold people emotionally accountable. Hold people emotionally accountable. If we were afraid to do that, we're afraid to say that mommy hurt me, daddy hurt me, brother, sister, guardian, granny, because they sacrificed so much for us. It doesn't mean that they didn't sacrifice so much for us. It doesn't negate anything. It doesn't negate anything that they did. However, for you to face that capacity and capability, for you to know that you are worth moving on and finding success, you have to know you don't have it. You're sitting there pretending that you have a team. In denial does not mean a liar. In denial means you're not able to allow yourself something. You are sitting in denial. You're in a denial frequency. You're not able to allow yourself access to team, to the experience of team. You're your soldier. You're the soldier. If you're the eldest, I think you are the eldest. Right? We're talking about that in our conversations. Right. So you're the eldest, and so there's a thing for that. Anyone who's an eldest on the top will try to be an eldest. And anyone who is, or anyone who was made to be the eldest knows what it's like to be the eldest. You feel that kind of pressure. So you feel like, you as a child, you have a lot of pressure on you, and you sacrifice so much. And you hate to think, you hate to be accused or to think for 2 seconds that somebody is ungrateful, or that you are grateful. That's the worst thing you could be. How could you be ungrateful? This person sacrificed much for you. Just the kindness of the justice of saying this hurt me, I need more. That's it. Things to confront a person there. I'm saying holding them emotionally accountable inside of you, so you can know you need more. If I give you a plate of food and you're really hungry, you cannot just say, "Oh yeah, I'm full," and to yourself. You can say what you want. Tell me you're full, but you cannot rise your body and say you're full because you're hungry. You're malnourished, emotionally malnourished.
So, what are some of the steps that you can take to start to reverse? At least you can't change what has happened, but to try to reverse how you feel, how to cope with such.
Facing that alone is a lot, so you need support for doing that. Support means anywhere from your own self-support, which means you're taking yourself on a mental and spiritual internal journey, lots of reflection, and yourself. You have to make a commitment to yourself that you are in for the long haul. You're going to spend a lot of nights crying by yourself and facing things by yourself. That is the first and most support. And then, of course, if you have any other kind of support, then you're gonna need support, whatever that means to you. Support for you to face the difficult questions. The difficult questions will have to be difficult if you develop intimacy with yourself, where you are able to face the truth with self-kindness. Yeah. So, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's enough.
Well, you did this support, and then I'm thinking, okay, fine. You get in touch with you, I get in touch with you, I deal with that, we speak. But how, I'm looking at the interaction with the actual team. So how we speak, and then you help me say, okay, we get over that, and then I'm feeling a lot better about myself. But I still need to interact with these people on a regular basis. So how is that?
That is acceptance, right? So acceptance doesn't mean condoning. You have to accept that you don't realize that you have no control over where somebody is about something.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's about awareness before acceptance. First, we have the awareness bit. Just being able to observe it, being able to sit with it, and enjoy the feeling of sitting with it, and enjoy knowing the truth, and move beyond enjoying it and enjoy knowing the truth. That the truth is always coming to you, and then you strengthen that muscle of acceptance in the mind, and in the feeling, emotional ability to accept. And then you have to now create a new dynamic with this person. You can't just come and act smart at the person. You can't necessarily come and hold them accountable and tell them about themselves, because if that was easy, you wouldn't be having that issue. If it was a safe space, if the relationship was a safe space where you felt that you could confront and face issues, that you felt like you could confide in the person. If right now I say something to you and it makes you feel slighted, I think even you and I have a dynamic just because of the kind of people we present ourselves to be to each other. I think if I said something that made you feel slighted, you say, what does that mean? What did you mean by that? I didn't quite get that. That's not necessarily the case with everybody, and that is the heartache that we're so afraid to face. We're so afraid to face that people that we are invested in for so long, we couldn't fathom how to come to them and say, you hurt my feelings. Can you explain what you meant by that? I felt so crushed or upset by that.
I think a sentence I would never use that you hurt my feelings. I'm just trying to think about it, and you see, for me,
that's huge. That's many of us. If everyone had to put on the high, like something in the life as to how difficult it is to actually come out in real time and say, you hurt my feelings, that's all I'll put it, and I've been doing this for years. Because the acceptance bit that Emma was speaking about here is the acceptance takes you as far as you being able to accept in you that is, this is not a relationship I thought we had. I have assumed familiarity. I really thought that we were stronger. And then you get the inventory, you experience the inventory, you allow yourself to experience. And it's like, I really thought that we were like at a strong 7, we're at a 2. That hurts. That hurts in any dynamic. When you really thought that you were closer to someone, and then a real life issue happens, very similar to no trauma. A real life issue happens, and you realize, we're not as close as I thought, and then for you to accept that and want to build the intimacy still. You may not want to build the intimacy when you realize, I've been giving 10 years to this relationship, 20 years, and we're at a 2.
I'm done. I was like, if that's the I'm done. Maybe
it might humble you. Maybe the way you realize it, the way it's brought to you, it might humble you and realize, wow, boy, life is really, there's a lot of agriculture here, and you think this thing is going to grow, it's like, it's not growing, like, and then you can nurture it, but that takes two. It takes two, as in your entity and entity with everybody else is going. It takes, both sides of it to be willing, and that's the other part in the emotional intelligence. Then you realize not only are you at the two, but the person is in nobody has time for that space. It's not time to build this relationship with you that you have been investing all the time.
And you see, people can be so funny with it, because sometimes you can spend a lot of time with people, and then as long as you are useful to them, you will never see the true color or how they truly feel about you. And then so it is a challenge, and then to me it's very difficult to see past just that.
I think our whole socializing, school system socializing, psychological socializing, family unit expectation based on our colonial background specifically sets us up for failure with that. I think we have ridiculous expectations of ourselves and each other in all relationship dynamics, in all kinds of intimacy, not just intimate, but all kinds. And so in that specifically, there's always that the softer side to how we look is that embarrassment, that I'm not enoughness, the inadequacy, the inaccuracy of rating relationships, and the inability to accept expectation, yes, and the inability to accept when you realize what that inventory is. If you say you're looking for the truth, then you're gonna. I remember one time I was watching a movie with a past love, and then my intimate partner, my face dropped, and he caught my face drop, and asked me what happened to me, and then I said, we're going for something, and I said, I just feel like that's going to be us. And he got so upset and watching him, like sitting side by side, and he moved to the other side of the bed, so now he's on each side of the bed. And right, and so we sit for a bit, and then like, so you're gonna stay there all the time, and I'm like, well, you're the one who with me. And he's like, well, it was very difficult to process what you said. Like, I don't think that we're going to end up like that. We have ended up like that, actually. And the point is, he came back and said that it was hard for him to digest the truth. Because the reasons we were going to end up like that were reasons so deep-seated in his way that I wasn't even angry at him that we were going to end up like that. I was able to accept it. It still hurt. So when I saw the movie, it was how irritated. It was the truth. He was just showing me like this, and then he ended up catching my face, and we're still good friends to this day. But that happened, and we did end up like that, and I saw it coming, but the kindness of it, the story, the part of the story I'm telling is his ability in that moment to humble and realize she's right. We probably are going to end up like that because I don't know where to start with this issue. And the hard fact of it is, we're no longer together in that way, but we are still very human, very friendly to each other. I would do anything for me, do anything for me, type of thing. But we can't make it work unless many things have been faced, and it takes time to face those many things.
Yeah.
So that's capacity. I knew based on his ability to do it, capacity and capability, that he wasn't capable, not inadequate, but based on his lifestyle, based on how much he's working, based on how much he's able to give to our intimate partner relationship, I knew in my heart, in my gut heart, we're not gonna make it like this. We're not gonna make it as lovers, because there's no time invested in the love part of it for you to do the healing that it would require for us not to end up like this movie that's triggering right now.
And it's like you mentioned here, I think that even in my experience, I honestly believe that, again, a lot of the affection that I looked for initially in a relationship stems from not having that kind of relationship with my mom. And then, it's often been said that young guys look for a mom in a relationship. And it's only after I met my last husband that I realized that there may be some truth to that. Because the truth is that, for me, what I wanted my mother to do, she just didn't have the time, but I think that, working the hours that she worked, the time between my school and things, she had the time for herself, so she was just working and just coming and doing what she needed to do to take care of the household at the time. But that didn't translate into the kind of relationship where we would go out, speak, have those kind of conversations. So,
but do you realize that your life experiences is showing you, is teaching you, and it's beautiful. There's a latency, a learning period to everything, and it's teaching you your criteria and teaching you understanding of your mom. Your mom had her own capacity and capability. When something happens to us, and it makes us reflect on our foundation, our experiences, our realizations. It makes us realize our mental, physical, physiological capacity and anxiety to be able to take on the shock, to be able to absorb the shock and the change. Dealing with trauma, sensitive issues, that we all do that differently. We all cope differently, we all thrive differently. And that has an effect on each other. The way you cope, I cope, like, both we piss each other off. Maybe I need to feel loud, maybe I need silence. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? And then so when you're in those spaces, it causes you to think, feel, and decide something. And this is where the secret dialogue comes in again. That's very private. What you are thinking, feeling, and deciding while I'm talking to you right now. You're saying, oh yeah, boy, that's so good. When I get off, I'm going to go do this. I don't know, you probably take some time to think about it. That's really very inspired. But it's about sitting with yourself. That's the whole thing. It's about sitting with yourself, developing that criteria, checking out inventory, seeing where you are with the acceptance, seeing where you are with the expectations and how you handle it, seeing what's your capacity and your capability, your ability to take it in, digest it, and then do something about it that you feel good about, by your measure, by your interpretation. I do realize we're already at 8:15. I can go forever, but
yeah. Cool, yeah. So, but just one more question before we probably take a couple of questions from the and then we can do that. What I got were not so much questions, some feedback. What I got a lot of the answers that we need, we already have them.
Oh, I see.
So
my is to remind